So today is about challenging your thinking when it comes to your coaching and hypnosis clients, particularly the resistant clients that you have, not the ones that are resistant to change, because if they've already invested in your time and your service and have paid you for it, then at some level they've already committed to some sort of change, right? The resistance I'm talking about here is the resistance when it comes to going along with the techniques that you're using within your hypnosis or coaching sessions, whether it be the types of questions you ask, or maybe you are trained in something that has something to do with going back to scenes, such as regressions or some sort of visualizations. What if your clients kind of like either don't want to see scenes or can't see scenes or have a difficult time visualizing? What do you do with those clients? And I'm going to go out on a limb here and actually say, what if this actually had nothing to do with your clients, but actually has something to do with what you're doing unconsciously? Now, hear me out here. Hear me out. So, when we use techniques, for example, you're using a hypnosis or maybe an NLP technique, and it has to do with visualization, right? Getting themselves internally. Now we know that closing our eyes during these techniques helps because it eliminates distraction, right? That's really the point of closing our eyes, to eliminate all the other stimuli that are in our environment so that your client goes internal, which is the point for any coaching or hypnosis NLP sessions, right? For your clients to look internally into themselves. And so here's the thing: the minute or the second we tell our clients to close their eyes, that actually turns on resistance. Why? Because, first of all, you are telling your client what to do, right? Even though it may seem innocuous, and it very much is innocuous to just tell your client to close your eyes. Some clients in this day and age, and I would say a lot, or most of your clients, if they want to change, right, they have some sort of sympathetic arousal going on. I mean, most of the people in the world now are somehow sympathetically turned on. That's why we do personal development stuff. That's why we prioritize our wellness and do things like meditations and personal growth stuff, or something like yoga, so that we balance out the sympathetic and parasympathetic. But truth of the matter is, most of our clients are going to have some sort of sympathetic arousal state, some sort of vigilance, or some clients are going to be hyper vigilant. And when we tell them to close their eyes, telling someone who is hyper vigilant to close their eyes is an immediate cause for resistance on their end. And it's not their fault that they're resistant. It's not their fault that their walls are up. It's because if someone's hyper vigilant, part of them doesn't feel safe to close their eyes. And this is something that we do unconsciously, right? Because I was traditionally trained in a hypnosis modality where the first thing we do is ask our clients to close their eyes. And this really didn't hit me until I started doing yoga very frequently the past few months. Because in yoga, most of the instructors say, especially at the beginning of class, you can close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. And I think that's great, right? I didn't really know, like I've been doing yoga on and off for years, but the past few months was when I really got in on it. And, I think that's great that yoga teachers say that. It shows you the increased awareness within that community to be like, some people actually don't feel safe closing their eyes. And so what if your clients were like that? And sometimes they don't know that they don't feel safe closing their eyes. They just have resistance. And of course, when they're sitting in front of you and you're their coach and they've paid you, if you tell them to close their eyes, of course, they're going to want to comply, even though they don't feel safe doing so. And so, that is automatic resistance, right? And so think about that. Think about the clients that you previously or currently have that don't feel safe with the typical eyes closed, lots of visuals, let's visualize or regress type techniques. Because a lot of them are going to be turned on instead of relax, even though your point is for them to relax by closing their eyes. A lot of clients will not feel safe within their nervous system to do that. And that has nothing to do with them. That has all to do with you and your techniques, right? So look at that for yourself, because you might have a gold mine here, and really allowing you to see the constraints within your delivery process. Because once you can notice that and be honest with yourself with regards to, okay, so typical eyes closed, some clients might not feel safe to do that. And for you, you may or may not, you may probably feel safe closing your eyes, right? Or you may not, you may unconsciously know that, but that's, asking your clients the first thing within the first minute to close their eyes, even though after that you're going to do a whole body scan to relax, it doesn't really matter, because somehow they've associated closing their eyes as unsafe, because closing your eyes means that you can't visually see threat in your environment, right? And I don't know I forget what the percentage is, but most most of our brain power or the processes in our brains, I would say 50%, I think, or for at least 40%, has to do with visual, right? Like 40% of our 40 to 50% or something like that of our brains. Don't quote me on the percentage, but it's something as high as that in our brains that are involved with vision. And so if we ask someone to close their eyes, like that, that visual part of our brains are like, okay, they're not doing anything. And so that can trigger immediate feelings of unsafety within their nervous system, which makes total sense, right? So think about it this way. I know that a lot of us, especially me, I was trained to just like say, close your eyes. And to me, I never thought that it would be triggering or unsafe for someone to close their eyes, because I've kind of always closed my eyes, even in yoga class, even before going into like complete personal development. I never really thought that closing my eyes would be unsafe for me, but it is for other people. So think about that. And, this is really the reason why I love conversational hypnosis so much, because it's eyes open. They don't have to close their eyes. My clients, for the most part, have their eyes open the whole entire time. And the breakthroughs that I have had with them have been a lot better than the usual eyes closed hypnosis. And the safety that they feel around me is much more profound now than the other techniques, because it really gets rid of that initial feeling of unsafety within them, because you know they've closed their eyes. And for a lot of my clients, right, they go into the strategy call. I've even have some clients who really never talked to me at first. It kind of like saw me on social media and on DMs. And the first session we have is a subconscious rewiring session. And it's the first time they meet me. If I ask them to close their eyes, then it's the first time they've met me. And now I'm asking them to close my eyes. They can't see what I'm doing. That feels threatening, right? And that makes sense. So think about this. This was a big light bulb moment for me, and this really, I just kind of just really realized the extent to the importance of this very recently, from in yoga, them saying, if you feel safe to have your eyes closed, make sure to do so. Because then I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. If you are in a yoga class and there's like 20 people in the room and you're someone who is unsure of yourself, which is going to be most of our clients, right? It makes sense why they won't feel safe closing their eyes, because it's a room full of strangers. I mean, this is in yoga settings, but even if it's just a one-to-one setting with you, there's that, part of our brains that we won't that we're used to using, which is the visual part of our brains, that's not technically working actively when your eyes are closed, and that can cause some feelings of unsafety within your client. So I hope this makes sense. Let me know your thoughts on this via your comments. Otherwise, I will see you soon.